What's going on, Comic Book Nation? I'm Charlie Ridgely, and I'm here with the one and only Johnny Lawrence himself, William Hopkins. Whoa, I'm gonna do that again. I said Hopkins.
Let me introduce you. What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? This is William Zabka introducing Charlie, my man Charlie.
And what's up, everybody? I'm Charlie, and that's William Zabka, and we're talking about Karate Kid and Cobra Kai and all kinds of, anything that Johnny Lawrence is involved in. So, William, tell me about. I know you kind of talked about it before in different interviews, but how did Cobra Kai come up for you? I mean, it had been close to 30 years, not more than 30 years from Karate Kid to this. So, kind of what transpired to make this come to life?
Well, that's a big question. I mean, 30 years. It's first of all, the movie is saturated culture, and it's been passed down through generations. There's very few people who haven't seen it until last week, Charlie.
Like 2 minutes into this, and you're already calling me out.
Sorry, dude. That's all good. It's all good. The movie's taken root in culture. So, like, the character, just Johnny and Daniel, and the themes of the Karate Kid have just kind of been resonating with generations. And then, for me in my career, it's kind of spawned a lot of different. It kind of informed my early days with my villains that I played, and Back to School, and Just One of the Guys, European Vacation. And then, over the years, it just kind of took root. And these guys, John Horowitz, Josh Heald, and Hayden Schlossberg called me up. And I worked with Josh Heald on Hot Tub Time Machine. And he called me up when they were finishing that film up, and never met him. But they said, we have a part for you in Hot Tub Time Machine. You're going to go back into the 80s and play this guy, Ricky Steelman, with a mustache. And that was a thrill. I jumped in and worked with John Cusack and all those guys. And I don't know, there was something about just the 80s and this persona, this character of Johnny Lawrence that kept going in a way. So anyway, the Josh Heald and John and Hayden came up with the idea for Cobra Kai. They called me up and said, let's have lunch. Them for lunch. I had no idea what they were going to pitch me, because John and Hayden had made all the Harold and Kumars, and Josh did Hot Tub Time Machine. I thought they had something else. I don't know. And they hit me over the head with Cobra Kai at a Mexican restaurant, a bunch of chips, and I couldn't even order. They kept shooing the waiters away, and they basically slowly kind of cracked open the shell of me and got to Johnny Lawrence and explained what Cobra Kai was going to be and what they'd like it to be. And I was stirred, but the idea of it actually happening, it just felt like a real long shot. Although Sony was involved and Overbrook had signed off on it, the next thing was to get Ralph Macchio on board. So it was a long process, a long burn, but that's how the show came to me, was through these guys.
I was about to ask if it was you or Ralph who was on first, but you already
I signed up first.
So it's your show, is what you're saying? It's
it's like they had to get me. They had to use me as bait for Ralph, So,
gotcha. Gotcha.
Billy's in, everybody's in. Are you in? A little pressure.
So in this, for those that haven't watched before, it's coming to Netflix, so a lot of more people are going to be able to see it. It takes place in the present day, decades after Karate Kid, after the All Valley tournament that you lost, and we see a much different Johnny than we did in the movie. How did you kind of work on that version of the character and kind of transform that to be kind of this, I don't want to say deadbeat, but deadbeat, like Johnny doesn't have a lot going for him when Cobra Kai starts. So it was a much different version of the character than I think a lot of people are used to seeing from Karate Kid.
Yeah, the soul of Johnny Lawrence is the same. The way I always saw Johnny Lawrence and the way I played Johnny Lawrence during the Karate Kid was, he wasn't a bad guy. He was misunderstood. He had a bad teacher. All that I carried with me and was right there to grab. But the writers really painted him into this one-bedroom apartment and, having not even a fish in his life, and drinking beer and stuck in the 80s in the past and all that. So it was the writers painted all that on me, and it was actually really it was painful in a way to play him. There's a scene in the dealership when Johnny first bumps into Daniel LaRusso, and that was like the pain of what happened in the past. It was just working with Ralph's amazing, so it was kind of vibrant and alive. But it was the writers brought it to me, and it was a big challenge. But I just had to kind of plug in the spirit of Johnny Lawrence that I embodied in the original film, and you're still right there. And, you know, and then there's a lot of life between then. So it's 30 years later. And so I think, you know, as an actor, it's really nice you get to mature and kind of, you know, experience life and bring all that to the table. So, you know, sometimes life experiences inform your performance. Not that I've been like that, but with the, you know, kids, just trying, you know, there's a lot of things that you bring to performance, and
right.
The last 30 years definitely helped with that, you know.
And I mean, and we're in a place now where, like, obviously reboots and nostalgia are like two of the biggest like keywords in pitching things and in, you know, bringing new projects to life. And so, I mean, everything like Karate Kid, at some point, those discussions are happening. If they're not, you know, even if it's not real, like they're being talked about. So this kind of seems like it was bound to happen in some way. I'm glad Cobra Kai is the way that it happened, because it's such a great show. But do you think that all that time with How I Met Your Mother influenced like this? I mean, you guys had that stint where it was Barney's bachelor party and the you know, trying to get the real Karate Kid. And I think, I mean, that show had such a big audience that had to have like helped get energy behind. Hey, maybe there are more Karate Kid fans that want more of this than we initially thought.
Completely agree. I mean, How I Met Your Mother was, you know, the TV gods reaching through the clouds and throwing me on television, and you know, in a hit show with some amazing actors and all about Karate Kid and Johnny, and letting me also do some different chops. You know, people mostly see me do tough guys, mean guys, bad guys, whatever, and you know, it's the comedy and working at that level. I think for sure that. You know, definitely brought it to mainstream television and to the public that, oh, you know, maybe this isn't done yet. There's a lot of stepping stones along the way. Hot Tub Time Machine, I would say that. I did a music video called Sweep the Leg by No More Kings. You should check out, where I directed that and wrote that. Really fun, kind of homage to Karate Kid and Raising Arizona and a bunch of different things. But I think there were a lot of stepping stones along the way. But How I Met Your Mother, I would say for sure was a big part of it. And of course, having NPH, you know, embrace Johnny Lawrence as the true Karate Kid didn't hurt either. So thanks to
and that's something you mentioned there with him embracing Johnny as the Karate Kid, as the character, but also talking about, you know, not seeing that villainous side and exploring a different kind of character.
Yeah.
Something I really love about Cobra Kai is how we kind of see this bully origin story happening, because Johnny is kind of a bully, but not like we saw him in Karate Kid. He's broken down, but then we get a story arc. You know, for those who are about to watch it, there's one character who I don't want to talk about because their name is a little bit of a spoiler for those that haven't seen it. I guess if you haven't seen it yet, you know, you can skip ahead. But Hawk, you know, we have this origin story and how a bully becomes a bully, really, and it feels like it's a really interesting parallel to what would have happened with Johnny, especially with Kreese and everything in the show. You know, talk about, if you don't mind, you know, what you kind of gave to that character and how that parallels, you know, the journey that you and your character have kind of been on over the years.
What I gave to the character of Hawk?
I mean, if there was any, you know, conversation about this mirroring Johnny's journey or any talks like that.
Yeah, no, you know, that's one thing that hasn't happened, is any kind of sit down chat about, you know, kind of intellectual talk about who's who and what's what. Everybody jumped in. The writers really created these characters and the actors personified them, and these kids showed up. And I say kids are young adults, but to me they're kids. I was a kid when I did the film. You know, they just showed up and embodied these characters, and then I knew, you know, the Hawk character, for one, is, you know, he's kind of an extreme version of what happened to Johnny, based on his past, which you kind of see where he came from. You know, Johnny maybe didn't have it as rough as Hawk, and he doesn't go as far hard as Hawk, but it's but very similar. And all the kids and all the characters in the dojo and all the kids that Johnny opens up to. I mean, there's a great, I don't want to give anything away for you, I haven't seen it, but you know, the whole purpose of the dojo is to, you know, to build up this pansy ass generation and help these kids find themselves. And Johnny, and the funny of it really is that Johnny hasn't figured it out yet. So he's working it out in front of all these kids, and he's kind of making errors. You know, they're the unfortunate recipients of his bad choices here and there, but he's got a good heart, and I think all the kids do. You know,
and that's what I love so much about Miguel, is kind of being that real center for not just for Johnny, but for the show in general. Like, even when he kind of veers off, Miguel really represents like someone just wanting to do the right thing and wanting to be good, no matter what dojo they learn at, whatever. Like he's been a really, really fun and interesting character to follow along the show.
He's really earnest, Miguel, the character. I think he probably stumbled into the wrong dojo. Like he would have been a great,
absolutely.
Like Miyagi should have saved him, and then he would have been on the right path. Like that he ran into Johnny's good and bad, but mostly good. He's kind of the heart of gold kid, and but he has a conscience, and he's not. He doesn't go too hard. He still has a sense of himself. I think some of the other characters kind of not lose themselves, but are experimenting.
And speaking of him, obviously the season 2 finale. Like I said, spoiler warning for anyone who hasn't seen them yet. It ends on a really big cliffhanger with Miguel's character, and it's really dark, which was a departure from most of the show to that point. What can you tell me about your reaction to that cliffhanger and the reaction kind of on set with everybody, and how you guys kind of look ahead to season 3 after experiencing that?
Yeah, great question. I mean, just when we're doing the show, we're getting scripts on top of scripts. We had the first few as we start, and they keep coming in, and we're turning the page as we're doing it. And when 9 and 10 came in, especially 10, I think everybody showed up at the set the next day, and the whole makeup trailer was like, oh my gosh. I mean, the makeup artists, the stunt guys, like, we're like, are they for real? Like, it's really going to go there. And then emotionally for me as the character to play that, I don't want to give anything away, but, everything Johnny kind of was building, in a sense, the world crumbles, and that was a hard thing to do, and to play, because, it was also like the show's taking a turn too, and where is it all going? It's a very insecure feeling of that, very painful, really interesting, and especially the very ending. And then I don't want to give anything away, but all of that played really real, for all the actors, and then at the end of season 2, it was this big question mark. I came home from shooting that with the knot in my stomach and pit in my throat, going, there better be a season 3 to work this out, man, because I'm like,
because when y'all shot that, you hadn't been renewed, right?
Right now. What?
When you shot that, you hadn't been renewed, right?
No, we hadn't been renewed. Like I'm like, if it ends here, I'm in so much trouble. Like I'm gonna need years of therapy to get out of it.
I watched it knowing there's a season 3, so it's like I was hurting, but I'm like, okay, like this will be resolved eventually.
Yeah, no. We did that in real time, and and then and then we got the green light for season 3, but we didn't know what that was going to be yet until those scripts rolled in, and then the guys pitched it to us before they write them. But that was nice to know, and so it does have a rebound, but it's still the great thing about the show is it's really unpredictable, and their writing is really unpredictable. And so it's like it's left, right, bam, hit a wall, things blow up, and then there's and then it's all back together, and there's comedy in it. It's just so well crafted, and it's the 3 writers and their team of writers they're wicked, and they're fans. That's the thing. They came at it as, like, they say the Karate Kid was kind of their Star Wars in a way, and it was like they were uber fans of the franchise, and then they're just great writers and hearts of gold, and they understand all these characters in this world. They knew it when they pitched it to me. I mean, they told me about these characters, Hawk and Miguel, and those were foreigners to me, and I didn't understand what that was. I understood what Johnny Lawrence was going to be, which is going to be like bad sensei, like bad Santa, but bad sensei. But that's how they pitched it to me. So they just have a handle on this whole world. And
speaking of that ending, that cliffhanger, that of what's going to happen with that big moment, there was actually more than one of those, and it reminded me, and maybe it's just the timing of it. I was watching back through Cobra Kai this week, and the other thing that I've been watching is a lot of Christopher Nolan movies. I've been trying to go through and watch those because of Tenet coming out. And if you ever watch Batman Begins, the very end of Batman Begins, Gordon hands Batman this piece of evidence. It's wrapped in a bag, and it's like, hey, it's some new villain or some new murderer. He's crazy on the loose. He leaves us like this calling card, and it's a Joker card, and it's this big, like, the first time you see it, your mind explodes. Joker's coming. It reminded me so much of season 2 of Cobra Kai, watching it this time, because I just watched the finale before watching that. And it was your phone. Johnny throws his phone on the phone.
Something.
Somebody's name is there.
Yeah.
So what can you? Well, I know you probably can't say a lot about it, but what can you say about the potential of getting a certain love interest back on the show that everyone's been? I think from the beginning of Cobra Kai, everyone's been asking if Ali was going to come back or not.
Sure.
What can you say about the potential of Ali being around, responding to that message?
Well, nothing is as it seems. I can tell you that. Nothing's
Okay.
as it seems. Okay. Listen, the character of Johnny, there's few people that, she's a busy, Ali, I've been saying this for the last 2 seasons too. She's a big missing piece of his life. She's the love that got away and, in some form, would love to reconnect. But the show's full of surprises. So,
and that's not the only tease that people are talking about now. I mean, it's interesting that we're doing today because it's Monday morning, or it's Monday afternoon, but Monday morning the teaser for season 3 came out, which a little bum we gotta wait till 2021, but I know everyone's excited to see it. And it teases another character coming back to interact with Daniel, and it seems like potentially the more evil karate rival than Johnny is showing up. It looks like maybe Chosen is coming back in the mix. We don't know. In general, what can you tell us about season 3 and where the show's going? I mean, we know that Daniel's going to Japan, and we know that they're going to have to somehow.
Well, I could tell you this much. I mean, the end of season 2 is a car wreck, essentially, and it's without hopefully not giving anything away. There's a lot of pieces to put back together. There's a lot of healing that has to happen. There's a lot of growing that needs to happen. I've seen a lot of fan theories out there and heard a lot of fan theories, and you get nice tries, but it's really I can tell you this, it's awesome. I mean, season 3 is it's fireworks, and I think it's season 1 and 2 combined on steroids, and it was a blast to shoot. It's gonna be worth the wait. It's hard. I mean, we were hoping it would be out, before now too, but the world is what it is right now. We're so happy to be at a great home like Netflix, and and for our old fans that have already seen the show to watch it again, and the new fans to come on board. And there's a lot of work to get season 3 ready. It's getting translated for 30 countries and all that stuff.
And I mean, it's going to be time for people to catch on and really fall in love with it and build excitement for season 3 when it comes out.
Yeah. I mean, it's got a bigger audience now, and we had an amazing fan base, but now we have a real big global audience. A lot of countries didn't get a chance to see it. So,
absolutely.
But season 3 is going to be worth the wait. It's going to deliver in a great way and on all fronts. Be some surprises, things you expect that aren't going to happen, but that's in purpose. I mean, you couldn't figure it out. If you watch Cobra Kai from episode 1 to the end of, season 2, you couldn't have tracked that. It's like it took so many, all that happens with Kreese, and it's all surprise. It's just great. It's great writing. What's that?
I saw you threw off the set with Kreese because he was dead, but he wasn't. And y'all are playing it close to the chest.
Yeah, it's great writing, and it's honest. It's not forcing. It's not playing to anybody. It's saying we want this to happen or we want that to happen. Right. It exists in its own, and it's real, and it's very satisfying. Yeah.
And I know I got to let you go because you got all kinds of interviews and press to do. But I got one final question. It's probably the most important one I'm going to ask.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on Coors Banquet beer?
Coors Banquet beer? Well, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I'm allowed to plug it.
It was just so specific on that show. It always has to be Coors Banquet.
Coors Banquet's the bomb, man. I can tell you this: Coors was my dad's beer. When I was a kid growing up, and working in the backyard with them, and like my first sip of beer was a Coors, so it works.
I think it was Coors Light though. Mine was Coors Light.
I don't know if Johnny likes the beer. I think he likes the bottles because of the flipping, man. He likes to flip those caps. And I don't know who else is making those bottles. I guess the competitors.
It was such an interesting choice because whenever you think they get we need a trashy beer for this trashy guy. Coors Banquet's never what you think, but it's it was so. I don't know why it stuck with me. I love it.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a classy beer for Johnny. I mean it's like he's hanging on to it, man. He's hanging on to everything. That's what's great about the characters. He's really he's kind of like defrosting from the caveman, from being frozen in time, and learning his ways, learning the internet, and all that.
Awesome.
Coors Banquet goes right in line with that, Yeah.
William Zabka, thank you so much for taking some time. I really appreciate it. I mean, I've been loving this journey, like, you know, binging through Cobra Kai and watching the
Thanks,
Karate
man.
Kid movies, and you know, it's been really cool to see your progression. I'm really stoked for what's going to come in season
I
two.
appreciate it, Charlie. Thanks so much, man.
Absolutely.